My selfish dad brought a stick to my daughter's birthday, saying pricey gifts were for other grandkids. I was furious and kicked him out. I knew my father was selfish, but this was different. Amanda had been looking forward to her 10th birthday for months. She had a wish list that included a bike, art supplies, and possibly a new dollhouse. Emily and I organized a large party, inviting family and close friends. The decorations were up, the cake was ready, and Amanda was beaming with delight. My parents eventually arrived, albeit late. My father walked in with his customary air of self-importance, my mother lagging after. He carried no gift bag or nicely wrapped box. He held a rough, somewhat damaged branch in his hand. A stick. Amanda stared at it, bewildered. "What is that?" My father held it out to her. "Your birthday present," he said with a grin. The room went silent for a little moment. The guests let out a few uneasy chuckles. My sister Laura and her husband shared amused glances. My mother gave a quiet, strained laugh. Amanda paused before accepting it, clutching it as if it would bite. I do not understand." My dad clapped his hands. "Expensive presents are only for other grandchildren." And then he laughed, a deep, passionate chuckle, as if he had just told the greatest joke of his life. Laura giggled. Her spouse grinned. Even some of our more naive guests gave polite giggles, unaware of what was going on. Amanda's face wrinkled. She turned to me and Emily, her voice low. "Why does Grandpa say that?" Emily held her close and caressed her back. I could see her jaw clenching, as it did whenever she held back. I was not holding back. I turned to my father with a hushed voice. "What the hell is wrong with you?" He shrugged, totally unconcerned. "You do not deserve my respect, William. You are aware of this. Why should I spend money on your daughter?" The laugh ceased immediately. Several people shuffled uncomfortably, realizing they had laughed at something that was not a joke. I saw red. The years of his petty games, favoritism, and unending manipulation all came crashing down on me at that point. But instead of erupting, I did something different. I smiled. Then I stood up, walked across the room, and did something that caused my father's face to drop for the first time that night. I grabbed a knife. For a brief while, the room held its breath. Not in a violent way, I wasn't about to do anything insane, but in a way that indicated that something was about to happen. I turned to the cake Amanda had been raving about and carefully cut 2 flawless slices. One for her. One for Emily. I then turned to my father. "You are no longer welcome here," I said. Silence. Not the awkward type, not the uncomfortable type. A deep, disturbing silence settled into the walls, reminding everyone that something had irreversibly changed. For 30 minutes, no one spoke. Not my father. Not my mama. Not my sister. There is not a single guest. And then, just as he felt he had the upper hand, I decided to put an end to this once and for all. Nobody spoke for 30 minutes. My father sat with his arms crossed, his grin dimming as he realized no one was coming to his defense. My mother remained mute, looking down at her lap. Laura avoided making eye contact. The visitors squirmed nervously, unsure which side they should take. Amanda sat next to Emily, picking at her cake in little trembling nibbles. She wasn't crying anymore, but she wasn't happy either. That was the most devastating blow to my spirit. My father finally sat back and scoffed. "William, are you serious? Over a joke?" I kept my voice calm. "You humiliated my daughter on her birthday, in front of everyone. It was not a joke." He rolled his eyes. "Oh, please. She's 10. She will forget it in a week." Amanda looked up. "Number she will not." His face jerked, and for a split second, I noticed something in his eyes. Something resembling doubt. But then it was gone. "Jesus," he mumbled. "This family has gone soft." That was the final straw. I stood up. "Get out." He gave a harsh laugh. "Are you kicking me out? What about your own father? Because I did not spend money on your brat." Emily also stood up. "Yes. Leave. Now." The anxiety was awful. My mother finally raised her head to look at us, her lips pushed together. She seemed like she was about to say something, but she didn't. Laura scoffed. "Oh, come on, Dad was just..." I shut her off. "Do you think that's okay? That he treats Amanda like garbage but your children receive everything?" She shrugged. "Maybe if you weren't so..." I did not let her finish. "Do you know what? I'm finished pretending. Let's be honest. Dad never respected me, and that's okay. He's always preferred you and your children, fine. But I've had enough of making Amanda feel inferior. It ends today." My father shook his head and pushed the chair back. "Unbelievable, the victim complex is on you." I stepped closer. "Is there a victim complex? You strolled into my daughter's birthday celebration and handed her a goddamn cane, laughing about how you only purchase presents for Laura's children. That is not a joke. That's you being a selfish, bitter old man." For the first time, he had no response. He just stood there, mouth hard and fists clenched. I turned to my mother. "And you? Are you going to sit there and let him do this?" She paused. Then, in a softer tone than I anticipated, she said, "I didn't know he was going to do that." That was the moment when everything changed again. My father looked at her, his eyes hardening. Excuse me? She cleared her throat and straightened up in her seat. I knew he preferred Laura's kids, but I didn't realize it would go this far. My father stared at her, as if she had just uttered another language. Oh, don't start. But she wasn't done. William's right. It wasn't a joke. It was cruel. Laura's jaw dropped open. Mom. She sighed and said slowly. We should go. My father laughed again, but it was hollow. You're actually on his side? She did not say yes. But she did not say no either. She just picked up her purse and avoided his look. For the first time in my life, my father was speechless. And that was just the beginning. I did not give my father time to argue. Both of you? Get out. Now. My mother showed no resistance. She gave Amanda one final glance, almost remorseful, before turning and heading for the door. In contrast, my father lingered. Looking around the room, as if expecting anyone, to support him. When no one responded, his face twisted in hatred. You're a joke, William, he sneered. A week's little joke, I said, my voice frigid. He gave a dry laugh and shook his head. Fine, but don't come crawling back when you realize you can't cut me out of your life. I opened the door for him without saying a word. My mother went out first. He followed. But, just before crossing the barrier, he turned one final time to stare at Laura. Are you coming? Laura hesitated. She stared at me. Then to my wife. Then I looked at Amanda, who was still gripping the ridiculous cane like she had no idea what to do with it. Then she sighed and stood up. Yeah. I'm coming. Of course, she was. She grabbed her husband's arm, and they followed my parents out. The door closed behind them. For a few seconds, nobody moved. The guests were transfixed, waiting for some sort of cue on what to do. However, there was nothing to say. There's nothing to do. Amanda broke down. She burst into tears and buried her face on Emily's stomach. Emily knelt down, whispering softly and rubbing her back. I crouched alongside her, placing a hand on Amanda's shoulder. Honey, I spoke sweetly. It's okay. She sobbed. Why does Grandpa hate me? Emily closed her eyes and drew a long breath. I clenched my fists and forced my voice to be quiet. He doesn't hate you. He doesn't know how to be a good person? She sniffed. But he's nice to Laura's kids. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I know, honey. And it's not fair. But listen to me. We love you more than anything. You don't need him to be happy. She wiped her nose against her sleeve. But my party is ruined. That section hurt the most. Because she was correct. The air in the room was heavy. Nobody was laughing. Nobody was celebrating. Guests shifted awkwardly, with some making fast excuses to leave. The supposedly flawless birthday party had turned into a disaster. Emily and I tried our best to lighten the mood. But the harm had been done. The candles were already melted. The presents seemed pointless. Amanda attempted to grin. She tried to act as if everything was fine. But she wasn't. And that's when I made my decision. This was not over. I was not going to let my father walk away thinking he had won. He thought he could embarrass my daughter and get away with it. I was about to make him regret it. Did he wish to play cruel games? Fine. I'd play too, but I'd do it intelligently. Revenge was on the way. And he wouldn't notice until it was too late. My father has always valued control. He constructed his life around it, manipulating my mother, my sister, and, most importantly, attempting to control me. But no matter how hard he tried, he could never take control of my business. I started from nothing. Long hours, endless sacrifices. Pushing through each setback. When it eventually took off, my father had the audacity to claim credit. He never invested a dollar. Never offered guidance. Never lifted a finger to assist. However, once it grew successful, he began to act like a co-founder. He introduced me to everybody as if I worked for him. He referred to it as our business, despite the fact that he was not involved. And the worst part? I let it slip for years. Because deep down, I believed that if I made him feel important, he would eventually appreciate me. This was a mistake. After Amanda's birthday, I stopped putting things off. The following morning, I called my lawyer. Cut him out. Completely, I replied. My lawyer remained silent for a second. Are you sure? Your father is not officially named anywhere, but he's functioning as he is nothing. Make this official. And with that, I closed the door on him forever. He didn't notice at first. He was too busy pouting, perhaps expecting me to return with an apology. But when his frequent calls to my office went unanswered, and when his name was erased from everything he professed to be involved in, he finally realized there was something wrong. Then the storm struck. He arrived at my office unannounced and brushed by my secretary as if he owned the place. William, he exclaimed. What the hell is going on? I reclined back in my chair, quite relaxed. I don't know what you're talking about. His face was already crimson. I called the bank today, and they won't give me any information. I contacted your board of directors. Suddenly, I'm not welcome at their meetings. What the hell are you playing at? I shrugged. You stated I did not deserve your respect, so why should you be involved in my business? His jaw clenched. I built it with you. I laughed. Number I built it. You just want to act like you did. You ungrateful little. Be careful, I warned. You are in my building, and I owe you nothing. For the first time in his life, my father appeared lost. I could see it in his eyes. He'd spent years pretending to be king. He walks about with his chest out. He's talking about his company. His influence. And suddenly it was gone. He had nothing. And the best part? He'd done it to himself. He stepped closer, attempting to reclaim control. Do you honestly believe you can just cut me out? I already have. His breathing was heavy. He looked at me as if he intended to strike me, yell at me. Something. There was nothing he could do. No leverage, no power. I could almost see his ego crumble. You'll regret this, he eventually shouted, his voice quivering with wrath. You need me? I smiled. No, father. I never did. Then I phoned security. Security didn't even need to touch him. The moment I hit the button on my desk, two tall, broad-shouldered males entered my office. My father took one glance at them and understood how pitiful he must have appeared, an elderly man having a tantrum in a place where he had no authority. Are you serious? He hissed. I tilted my head. Do you think you can come in here and make demands? This is not your house. This is not your business. You have no authority here. And you never did. He scoffed and shook his head, but I noticed his hands tensed at his sides. He was unraveling. You think you're untouchable, he whispered, to himself rather than to me. But son, let me remind you that I am still your father. You don't get to erase me simply because you have a meltdown. I smiled. I already have. And believe me, Dad, it feels wonderful. The guard stepped forwards. And for a moment I thought he was going to fight back. His fists clenched. His chest heaved out, as if he were preparing to punch. But then something unexpected occurred. The office door opened again, and my mother entered. She was not meant to be there. I hadn't communicated with her since the party, and I had certainly not invited her. But there she was, standing in the doorway, staring between me and my father, with an expression I couldn't place. Howard, she murmured quietly to my father, come with me. His gaze shifted to hers. His rage quickly turned to perplexity. What are you doing here? She took a breath and glanced at me. William, can we talk alone? I paused, then nodded to the guards. Give us the room. They stepped out and closed the door behind them. Now it was just the three of us. Mom, whatever you're about to say, I began. But she raised her hand. I know you're angry, she said. And I do not blame you. What your father did was incorrect. I should have stopped him long ago. My father's head snapped towards her. Barbara, what the hell? She ignored him. But you have to listen to me. I crossed my arms. Go ahead. She paused. He then mentioned something I didn't expect. I want out. I blinked. Out of what? She gulped hard. This. Him. The life I've been stuck in for decades. My father's face had lost its color. What are you talking about? She turned to face him. For the first time in my life, I noticed pity in her eyes. Howard, I've spent my entire life keeping quiet. I'm watching you play favorites. Watching you put down William because you can't take the fact that he's better than you. His mouth opened, but no words emerged. She turned back to face me. I should have left long ago. But I was terrified. I'm afraid of losing my house, security, and having to start over. She took a deep breath. But I'm not afraid anymore. I stared at her, trying to understand what she was saying. Are you divorcing him? I asked slowly. She nodded. If you help me? My father smashed his fist on the desk. Are you losing your mind? She flinched, but did not back down. No, Howard. I believe I'm finally sane. He turned toward me, his face distorted with wrath. This is your fault, he fumed. You're poisoning her against me. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. No, father. You did it all by yourself. For the first time in his life, my father appeared completely powerless. And it was gorgeous. My father was shaking. His face, once crimson with wrath, had faded to an unhealthy pallor. He glanced at my mother and me, as if he couldn't comprehend what was going on. Are you serious? He spoke in hushed tones. Are you truly abandoning me? My mother nodded, her hands by her sides. Yes, Howard. I am. His breathing was irregular now. You are making a mistake. You think? Do you think he will take care of you? Do you think William will save you? He gave a sour laugh. Newsflash, Barbara. You walk out on me, and you get nothing. I tilted my head. Are you certain about that? He scoffed. What the hell does that mean? I leaned forward and drummed my fingertips against the desk. You've never taken care of the finances, Dad. You never bothered. Mom did. You just barked orders and assumed you had complete control. His gaze darted to her. Barbara. She stared at me and then back at him. Then she dropped the bomb. I've already spoken with the lawyers. I own everything in my name, including half of the house and half of the funds. Considering how much I've endured over the years, I'm going after more. My father opened his mouth, but no words came out. I smiled. Oh, and since you like to pretend that my business was your business, I had my legal team do some digging. He tensed. Turns out you took out loans in your name, assuming I'd cover them with company funds. His breath caught. What happens if the loans aren't paid? I continued. The bank does not come for me. They come for you. He glanced at me, realizing how low he had fallen. You're lying, he mumbled. I sat back and crossed my arms. Find out for yourself. He turned to my mother. Barbara, you can't do this to me. She glanced at him, and for the first time in my life, I noticed no fear in her eyes. Without hesitation. Just clarification. You did this to yourself, Howard. He stumbled back a step, clutching the edge of the desk as if he needed it to stay upright. You ungrateful, I cut him off. No, father. That is who you are. You've been granted a family, and instead of embracing us, you picked favorites. You had a son who built something incredible, and instead of being proud, you tried to take credit. You had a wife who stood by you for years, and instead of appreciating her, you treated her like she was disposable. I shake my head. You've lost everything, Dad, and you have only yourself to blame. The room went silent. For the first time, my father said nothing. No insults. There was no manipulation. There was no way to turn the situation to his favor. He'd truly lost. A chime from my phone interrupted the silence. I looked down at the screen and saw a text from Emily. Amanda is feeling better. We took her out to have ice cream. She smiles again. I sighed, and the stress left my body. That's all that mattered. Amanda was happy. Safe. My father's poison left me unharmed. I stared back at him. You should go. He stared at me, his eyes filled with something I couldn't quite place, perhaps sorrow, contempt, or the realization he had ran out of people to control. He turned and went away. My mother stayed for a moment longer, staring at me with gratitude. Thank you, she replied quietly. For what? For reminding me that I still have a choice. Then she departed too. My father was suddenly absent from my life. I am not going to lie and claim it did not feel good. It did. It felt right. I did not seek vengeance solely for its own reason. I did this to protect my daughter. To ensure she never felt inferior. That she would never have to spend another birthday feeling unwanted. And as I walked out of my workplace to return home to my family, I knew one thing for certain. My father would never harm us again.